Many of my friends have gotten into shooting film this past year, something that has been a long time coming for many of them. That being said, I'm constantly asked by them and by you guys and in the comments on IG about which film stock is the best for beginners. While there isn't necessarily a steadfast answer because there isn't any one film that is made for beginners or is especially easy to shoot, there are a handful of things to keep in mind when first starting out and choosing a film stock. Having shot film primarily for the last 8 or 9 years or so, I've gotten some ideas that will make the most out of your frames when you're first starting out and wanting to take that next jump with your photography. First, and the most important by far, is learning and shooting on black and white film stocks when you're first starting. While I may not be the best advocate for this, as I don't shoot a ton of black and white as is now, I think it is the single best type of film to shoot when you're learning film. Because you're taking away color as a whole, you can focus on learning the camera's functions, perfecting each composition, and understanding critical exposure skills. Without these basics mastered, or at least relatively understood in my opinion, adding color to the recipe will only overcomplicate things, resulting most likely in wasted frames and money. And that wasted money, especially on color film, is no joke. In comparison to black and white film, color negative is much more expensive. Plus, black and white looks timeless, epic, and grandiose. I think you'd be surprised at how many of your color photos look much better in monochrome. As for which specific type of black and white film, I don't really think it matters all that much. As a beginner, you won't really be able to tell too much of a difference. Hell, I can barely tell a difference now, so I would just shoot whatever is most economical or whatever speed best fits the type of photography that you're doing in the moment. Keep in mind, higher ISO or speed means more light sensitivity. A rule of thumb is the higher the number, the better in dark or low light. Once you're satisfied with your results consistently on black and white, then I think it's appropriate to move on to color and start learning the principles that come with that. Another big suggestion I have is to skip over some of the more inflated price film stocks that are currently out there. While they are more hyped, like Portra, Cinestill, etc., because they are significantly more expensive than black and white films, the price of wasting a frame is magnified significantly, which is obviously not great when you're just starting out and trying not to blow a bunch of money on being shitty at photography. Rather, try to find respooled Kodak Vision 3 film. This is film that is used for Hollywood motion pictures, but companies are buying it in bulk, cutting it down, and placing it in 35mm canisters for consumers to shoot. Because of this, there's probably a relatively local company that is repacking and selling their version of this Vision 3 film, which is a really solid film. Honestly comparable to some of those other film stocks I mentioned, and generally at a much cheaper price point. While the whole concept of respooled film is a bit confusing, especially when some of the companies aren't fully transparent about it, I do think that it's probably the best and cheapest 35mm color negative film that you can find out there today. When first starting out, you're certainly going to be taking a lot of dud photos, so using an expensive film stock like Portra 800 or Cinestill can add up quite quickly. In my opinion, save those film stocks for when you're feeling much more confident with your skills. Honestly, the worst feeling at this point for me is shooting some rolls of Portra or some other more pricey film stock and then not getting many good photos out of said film. I always feel like such a waste of my time, money, and effort, so definitely cut your teeth and learn on the much cheaper stuff when you can. There is lessons to be learned with each failed frame, but why waste money if it's avoidable and you can easily shoot a comparable film stock for cheaper? With all that being said, one type of film stock that I would completely avoid until you're feeling honestly quite like an expert is slide film. While slide film is obviously beautiful, slide film is color positive film, meaning that you can see the actual true color rendering on the film itself, unlike the negative, which is showing you the negative of the emulsion. While slide film is obviously beautiful and incredible when shot well and correctly, it is horribly easy to mess up, and it is generally some of the most expensive film stocks out there. I know when you're first starting out, you want to shoot and experiment with a bunch of different film stocks, and when you see other color positive film shots or those beautiful boxes of Provia or Velvia, it's easy to just lust a bit over them. But until you've mastered exposure quite extensively, you won't be able to harness the full power of slide film and will end up with oversaturated, unusable, expensive, wasted frames. Ask me how I know. Otherwise, let me know down in the comments which film stock you shot most when you're first starting out, and let others know if you think that would be a suggestible film stock moving forward. Like I said, it's easy to look at film like candy and want to try all these different flavors and different boxes with all the colors and cool branding on them, but I really would recommend trying 3 or 4 film stocks, really seeing if you can nail those down, and then branching out from there once you feel like you've got those pretty much mastered. Ultimately, I don't really think there's anything wrong with experimenting or wanting to try different film stocks, but just keep in mind that without knowing what the film stocks look like, how the film will react to light, etc., I think it is best to try to save your money, learn on some of the cheaper film stocks, learn on black and white, and then go from there. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, stay safe, stay shooting. Adios.